Hi there. We are taking care of getting into the hamstrings and getting into the back body today. So we'll be standing and you need two props. Well, technically one. You definitely need a chair. And I do have the chair on the yoga mat just so it doesn't slide. So you can also be on the carpet just so you have a little bit of grounding. Okay, and my chair, which is great, has padding on it, and that will come in handy in a little bit. So if yours doesn't, I would grab either a folded blanket or a towel just so that you have some padding later on. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, I want to stay with your breath and breathe fully. I'm going to guide you through it, but I want you to think about this length that you're going to get in your spine and just extending your spine out. So placing your palms on the back of the chair and starting to walk back and coming into a flat back. And what I mean by that is you don't want to arch your lower back and have your bottom ribs and your belly just spill down and forward. I want you to think about integrity and the engagement. So draw the bottom ribs in and down toward the hips, so you have this like engagement and tension, and then flatten the lower back a little bit. However, you're going to use your legs and your feet to energetically push out, which will widen your sit bones apart. And I want you to visualize like your hips being pulled back so that you're creating length with your palms on the chair. Okay? And maybe your knees are really bent, and that's okay. We're going to play with it in a couple different ways. So I want you to keep pulling your butt back, your sit bones back, your hips back. Actively pressing your palms into the chair and looking straight down so that your neck is in line with the rest of your spine. And like I said, if you're feeling extra tight in this position, you can keep a little bit more bend in the knees. Make sure your head doesn't drop. Keep your ears next to your bicep. Okay, now just play with it. See if you can straighten your legs a little bit. And then bend a little bit and see if you can straighten a little bit. So you don't want to go for hyperextension, which is this, the back of the knee presses all the way. The knee presses all the way into the back of the leg. You want to really have that a little bit of that shape so that you're not hyperextended. And I hyperextended my joints, so something to be mindful of. Okay, so spreading the toes, keeping that energy of pushing the feet out and really engaging those side glutes, which will widen your sit bones apart. Now we're going to go deeper, so I want you to really feel that stretch. Feel it in the arms, feel it in the armpits, feel it in your torso, your whole spine getting longer, but also the energy in the legs. So everything is working together. My upper body and lower body are working together. Keep checking in with those bottom ribs so they're just not dumping to the floor. And then pulling the hips back. Now very slowly, take your right fingertips to the floor and bend the right knee. See if you can straighten that left leg a little bit more. Push down with that left palm. Pull that left hip back and rotate your head out to the left, so that you're really breathing kind of underneath the armpit, but it's more like the bicep area. It really depends on the length of your arm. And breathing into that whole side body. So the sideways, the ribs, the armpit. And also you're getting into the back side of your left glute, hamstring, maybe all the way down into your calf. So actively pressing the left palm, breathing into this twist. Keep energetically pulling that left hip back. Your right knee is bent. And slowly release back to center. Bring your right palm back onto the chair. Inhale and exhale. Lower the left palm down. Bend the left knee and start to pull that right hip back. Straighten the leg a little bit more. Feel that stretch on that whole right side body. Hopefully this is feeling really good for you. This is like my body taking a big yawn, getting a nice big stretch on the right side, the waist, the ribs, the armpit. My arm even feels longer. Keep spreading the toes. You want to make sure all toes are pressing into the mat. And release back to center. Place the left palm back on the chair. Adjust your alignment. Check in with those bottom ribs. And maybe straighten the legs a little bit more and see if you can push the feet out to the side a little bit more energetically. Your neck is in line with the rest of your spine, but you can move your head freely. And now very slowly start to walk yourself up, lifting up, walking up, and just rolling out the shoulders. And just seeing how you feel after that big side body, back body stretch. Okay, now let's get into the hamstrings a little bit. Place your palms on the back of the chair. So step your left foot back. You can bend the left knee, dorsiflex the right foot, press the heel. You can bend the elbows as you pull your butt back. Press through the right heel, drawing that heel through the floor and pulling the right hip back. And you can also feel the quad engage so that you're very active in the in the pressing and pulling. And I'm kind of losing my voice. So keep reaching the spine long versus collapsing and rounding. I really want you to think about that length and the whole back body. Everything works together. Okay, one more breath. And slowly release, step forward and switch feet. So bending the right knee, make sure you have enough space, hinging from the hip, pull that left hip back, pressing the heel down and pulling back, and then feeling the quad fire up. So you're really getting that engagement on that left side. Keep those bottom ribs in check. Can relax the elbows. Keep that long spine. Notice how it's feeling on this side. Is this side more open? Is it tighter? And what part of the back of the leg are you feeling it? In the calf, in the hamstring, the glute, or all of them? And it can change. It changes for me all the time. So just see what's going on with yourself. And slowly release and step forward. Now we're going to take the chair and turn it around. Now, I do have a wall next to me that you could use for balance, but I invite you to try it without worrying about having something to hold on to. But if you need it, definitely go for it. I just want to put that out there. We're going to go for one side each and just getting deeper into the hamstring. So this could be a little bit high, but I want you to try it first. So taking your right heel, placing it on the seat, and this is where you'd want a blanket or a towel if it's a hard surface. Okay, dorsiflex the foot, place the palms on the hips, start to bend the left knee, make sure the knee is facing in line forward with the toes, and then get that right quad to engage, pressing down and pulling back, and breathing in this whole back side of your right leg. And the torso is coming forward just a little bit to add some weight into the engagement, and the chest is broad so you're not collapsed in your shoulders. And very slowly draw yourself up, release, and switch to the other side. So dorsiflex, press through the heel, start to bend the right knee. And again, hinging from the hip, pulling, energetically pulling that right hip back, getting that quad to fire up. So I really want you to feel the energy, energy of the left leg. Yeah, and this is a balancing pose for sure. Just make sure that your standing leg, your right foot, is fully supported. The toes are spread. Go for one more breath. Really feel that activation and that pulling back. And slowly come up. And now, just walk. Just take a little stroll and just see how your legs feel, your back body feels. before we go into the last pose. And that's more of just like releasing the whole body. And you might not feel much of a difference. You might feel it more in the work that we just did. Everybody's different. Okay, so now have a seat and bring your feet as wide as the mat. And I invite you to go into this slowly because I really want you to release the upper body into the lower body. Now, when you go into this, I want you to think long spine to a certain point, and then you can let the spine release. So, for example, I've mentioned this in other videos, is that if you are falling back into a posterior tilt, but we're gonna fold forward, if you try and do that like this, really puts a lot of pressure and stress on your vertebrae and on the muscles and nerves, everything. Is just really not a good position to be in. So instead, I want you to think about that length and that lift to hinge forward with a long spine. Keep hinging forward, and maybe you stay here. And this is what you work on. You stay here for a few breaths. I'm going to show you different degrees to play with. And then after you're staying here for a little bit, you feel a little bit looser, and you can let your head release. And maybe you hold this for a little bit. And then the next part, which you can try, depending on where you are, is that you're hinging forward with a long spine, and then bending the elbows, letting the head release. Between both knees, letting your head go. You can move your head and neck side to side, letting it all release. You want to go a little bit deeper where you have some more engagement to hinge forward. You can slide your palms underneath the toes and pull yourself down a little bit more and let go of your head. And you're also in a form of compression. So just breathe into that contact of your upper body pressing into your lower body in compression and flexion at the same time. So you're letting your head release, and this can really just open areas up that are tight. You know, when we sit at a desk and not move, or in a car and it's tense traffic, you know, everything starts to tighten up. So see if you can just let everything just empty out right now and just let it all go. So really getting that back body to open up, and that's the neck, that's the upper back, middle back, lower back, glutes, hamstrings, calves, Achilles, feet. And now release the feet if you have your feet over your palms, and then slowly roll up. Okay, so there you have it. I hope you feel refreshed on some level from those poses and that work. And I invite you to keep trying this and exploring like what's changing for you and how you're feeling on each aspect of these poses. And it's just to help you wake up the body and get some release and relief from areas that tend to get really tight. And when in our society, we sit a lot in chairs, and I want to start kind of undoing all that chair sitting. Thank you for joining me. Let me know in the comments below what you found most useful for your body, what you enjoyed, and anything else that came up, what insights you had, what you didn't like, and what you want more of. And think of this as just you're taking care of where you live. This is your home, and you're just trying to, have it be this really wonderful place where you can reside in for long term. And lastly, I really believe that movement should be enjoyable, and the more you take care of your body and move your body, the more enjoyable it's going to be. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Janelle DeRoss, and I will see you next time.